Howdy, folks. Funky Monk back. So, since everyone's on this fucking tier list train, I figured why not do the same thing? Because it's obviously so fun and just like really, really accurate. So let's do it! We're going to rank each spec by tier and tell you exactly which spec is number one super ultra awesome best ever in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. Because obviously that's the truth, right? So let's start off with the tank specs, right? Because we have to do the tank specs, right? Because the tanks they're the forefront of all things in the game, right? So we're going to go Guardian Druid. Well, Guardian Druid, you know, some people say it's pretty good, but the Guardian Druid I raid with says that Shadowlands is completely nerfing them. So they're obviously F tier. Blood DKs are super edgelord, so we're gonna put them in S tier for super edgelord. Brewmasters. Brewmasters have an ox and they're really drunk. So obviously, you know, we would put them in D tier, but everyone's saying how overpowered they are. So we're going to place them in A for awesome, simply because they're a monk, right? The next tank spec we're going to deal with, if I can find it here, is Prot. Prot Pallies. You know, they're obviously the worst thing ever, even with Divine Toll, but they're not Guardian Druids, so they're just D tier for Divine Toll. Warriors, well, Warriors used to be super amazing, but they're obviously the worst spec ever, so we're gonna place them down there. And then we've got Vengeance Demon Hunters. You know, obviously they're F tier as well, because you know Blizzard hates them. Next we're gonna do the heal specs. The heal specs. Well, we've got Disc. Disc is super overpowered, so we're placing it in S for super overpowered. Then we're gonna go with Holy. Holy's not really seeing much, so we're gonna place it in D for dog shit. Then Holy Paladins, obviously the worst ever. You know, Mistweaver, you know, it's a monk class. It's a monk class, so we're gonna place it in A for awesome. Resto Druid. Resto Druid is obviously the best class ever. You know, because it's Druid. But at the same time, Blizzard, you know, nerfs them constantly. So we're going to place them down there. Then, you know, what else do we got? What else do we got? Resto Shamis. Resto Shamis are really strong. They have a lot of utility, but no one ever takes them. So they're obviously F tier. Now let's get into the ranged. Arcane Mage. Mage spec. Obviously, you know, number one. You know, Beast Mastery. Beast Mastery. Number one. You know, Affliction. Affliction, well, it's Warlock, so it's obviously, like, you know, bottom tier. We'll say D, but obviously not F, because it's Warlock. Balanced Druid. Well, Balanced Druids are F, obviously, because no one plays Balanced. Demo Warlocks summon demons, so we'll place them in B tier because, you know, they're really underpowered, but they get to summon those demons. Destro is number one because it always tops the meters. Elemental, I would place it really high because it's a really fun spec, but it's a shaman spec, so it goes down here. Fire is number one because it's a mage. Frost is again number one because it's a mage. Marksmanship would be up here because it's a hunter spec, but we're just going to place it in B tier because it's not Beast Mastery, right? Shadow is obviously a number one because currently on WoW Progress, Shadow is just doing amazing DPS, right? Amazing DPS, pre-patch DPS, and all of the bugs and all of the Azerite obviously tells you how good a class is going to perform in the future, in the next expansion. That's obviously the case. So we've got that. Then we go. I think that's all of the range specs. That's all the range specs. So we're gonna do melee, right? Well, Arms, it's a warrior, so you'd expect it to be overpowered, but it's not fury. So we'll just place it in A. Assassination rogues, it's rogue spec, obviously number one. Enhancement, it's a shaman. Feral druid, kitties are obviously bad. Frost DK, Frost DK is gonna whoop, whoop, place it in A because it's not as edgy as a blood DK. Fury warriors, obviously number one. Um, we've got Havoc Demon Hunters, which are pretty good. You know, they move really fast, but we're just gonna place them in A. They're not quite super edge lord yet. We've got subtlety rogues. No, this is combat. This is combat. We've got outlaw. They need to change that. Um, we'll just place it here because while it might be good, nobody really plays it. Ret Pallies, yeah, we'll place them there. You know, because not a lot of people place it. Subtlety rogues got shadow, so a little closer to edge lord. A little closer to edge lord. No one plays survival. Unholy, super edgy, super edgy. Windwalker, right there. And this, my friends, is the obvious tier list that will be going into uh, Shadowlands. This is what you can expect, right? You can expect to see nothing but blood DK tanks and disc healers, and then you've got arcane mages out the ass. You will never see anyone playing a shaman or any kind of druid. You won't see it. You won't see anyone playing, any kind of monk in the super top tier. Demon hunters will not be touched. Warriors outside of Fury, don't even think about it. That's this is the obvious number one, totally, completely accurate tier list of the best classes that are going to be in the next Shadowlands.